Welcome to part 4 of our Microsoft Certified DevOps Engineer Expert Ultimate course, friends. We are starting with question number 31 in this part of the series. You manage a project by using Azure boards. You manage the project code by using GitHub. You have 3 work items that have IDs of 456, 457, and 458. You need to create a pull request that will be linked to all the work items. The solution must set the state of work item 456 to done. What should you add to the commit message? Your options are fixes hash 456, hash 457, hash 458, fixes hash AB 456, hash AB 457, hash AB 458, hash 456, hash 457, hash 458, and completed hash 456. And then the final option is hash AB 456, hash AB 457, and hash AB 458. Now, folks, first thing to note is you need to use AB hash to link from GitHub to Azure board work items, which means you can rule out option A and option C. Now, prefix fixes can be used to transition the first item to done state, which means option B is the correct choice here. Make sure to go through the link on your screen to understand other prefix which can be used to transition the work item states. Question number 32. Your company deploys applications in Docker containers. You want to detect known exploits in the Docker images used to provision the Docker containers. You need to integrate image scanning into the application lifecycle. The solution must expose the exploits as early as possible during the application lifecycle. What should you configure? Your options are a task executed in the continuous integration pipeline and a scheduled task that analyzes the image registry, manual tasks performed during the planning phase and the deployment phase, a task executed in the continuous deployment pipeline and a scheduled task against a running production container, a task executed in the continuous integration pipeline and a scheduled task that analyzes the production container. Now, friends, to detect known exploits in Docker images as early as possible in the application cycle, you should scan images during the continuous integration pipeline and regularly scan the image registry. This ensures vulnerabilities are detected before deployment when the images are built and identifies new vulnerabilities in the stored images even after deployment. Next question. Your company has an Azure DevOps project. The source code for the project is stored in an on-premise repository and uses an on-premise build server. You plan to use Azure DevOps to control the build process on the build server by using a self-hosted agent. You need to implement the self-hosted agent. You download and install the agent on the build server. Which 2 actions should you perform next? Your options are from Azure, create a shared access signature. From the build server, create a certificate and then upload the certificate to Azure storage. From the build server, create a certificate and then upload the certificate to Azure Key Vault. From DevOps, create a personal access token. From the build server, run config.cmd. Now, friends, when setting up a self-hosted agent for Azure DevOps, you need to authenticate the agent with Azure DevOps using a personal access token. The token should have the necessary permissions to register and run the agent, and you should run the agent configuration script, which is config.cmd on the build server. Now, folks, after downloading and installing the agent, you must configure it by running config.cmd and providing the Azure DevOps organization URL and path. This command registers the agent with Azure DevOps and connects it to the build pipeline. Next question. You are designing an Azure DevOps strategy for your company's development team. You suspect that the team's productivity is low due to accumulative technical debt. You need to recommend a metric to assess the amount of the team's technical depth. What should you recommend? Your options are the number of code modules in an application, the number of unit test failures, the percentage of unit test failures, the percentage of overall time spent on rework. Now, friends, technical debt refers to the extra work required to fix issues caused by shortcuts or poor design choices made during software development. A key indicator of technical depth is the time spent on rework, which includes fixing bugs, refactoring code, and addressing design flaws. So, friends, I hope you now understand why I have chosen option D as the correct answer. But if you still have any doubts, please post them in the comment section. Let's look at question number 35. You use GitHub for source control and project related discussions. You receive a notification when an entry is made to any team discussion. You need to ensure that you receive email notifications only for discussions in which you commented or in which you are mentioned. Which two notification settings should you clear? Your options are automatically watch teams, participating, automatically watch repositories, watching. Now, folks, two notification settings that you should clear are option A and option C. The automatically watch team settings notify you of all team discussions even if you are not involved. And folks, by default, anytime you gain access to a new repository, you will automatically begin watching that repository. Next question. You use Git for source control. You enable GitHub code scanning. You raise a pull request from a non-default branch. In the code scanning output, you receive the following error message: analysis not found. You need to ensure that the code scanning completes successfully for the pull request. Which two actions should you perform? Your options are: add the name of the default branch to the on push specification in the code scanning workflow, add the name of the non-default branch to the on push specification in the code scanning workflow, delete the pull request, and then raise the request again from the default branch, update the code in the pull request, add a new workflow for code scanning. Now, friends, you should add the name of the non-default branch to the on push specification in the code scanning workflow. Code scanning workflow typically runs on the default branch unless explicitly configured to scan other branches. Adding the non-default branch ensures that the workflow runs when code is pushed to that branch. This should be combined with updating the code in the pull request, as this action will not trigger the code scanning if there is any error in the code, and you will get the error analysis not found. Question number 37. You have a GitHub repository that contains multiple versions of an Azure pipelines template. You plan to deploy multiple pipelines that will use a template stored in the repository. You need to ensure that you use a fixed version of the template. What should you use to reference which version of the template repository to use? Your options are the serial, the SHA-based hashes, the runner, the branch. Now, friends, if you want to use a particular fixed version of the template, be sure to pin to a reference. The refs are either branches or tags. If you want to pin a specific commit, first create a tag pointing to that commit, then pin to the tag. There is a link on your screen. Browse through the link to understand more about this process. Question number 38. You have an Azure DevOps organization named Contoso and an Azure subscription. The subscription contains an Azure virtual machine scale set named VMSS1 that is configured for auto scaling. You have a project in Azure DevOps named Project 1. Project 1 is used to build a web app named App1 and deploy App1 to VMSS1. You need to ensure that an email alert is generated whenever VMSS1 scales in or out. The solution you choose is from Azure DevOps, configure the notification settings for Project 1. You need to tell whether this solution is right or wrong. And friends, this is the incorrect solution. To generate an email alert from VMSS scaling events, you need to configure an Azure monitor alert with a condition based on autoscale actions. As always, there is a link on your screen. Go through the link to understand how to implement autoscale webhook email configurations. Question number 39. You are using the dependency tracker extension in the project in Azure DevOps. You generate a risk graph for the project. What should you use in the risk graph to identify the number of dependencies and the risk level of the project? Each element may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Now, there are four elements in the question, which are link color, link length, link width, node color. Now, friends, the first part of the question is talking about number of dependencies. The thicker the link, the more dependencies exist between components. A wider link indicates a higher number of dependencies. And the second part of the question is talking about risk level. The color of the link represents the risk level. Typically, red or dark colored links indicate high risk areas, while green or light colored links suggest lower risk. Folks, node color is often used to represent different type of dependencies or components rather than the overall project risk, and link length is often used to show the distance or logical relationship between dependencies. Next question. Your company uses GitHub for source control. The company has a team that performs code reviews. You need to automate the assignment of the code reviews. The solution must meet the following requirements. Prioritize the assignment of code reviews to team members who have the fewest outstanding assignments. Ensure that each team member performs an equal number of code reviews in any 30-day period. Prevent the assignment of code reviews to the team leader. Which two actions should you perform? Your options are clear, never assign certain team members. Select if assigning team members don't notify the entire team. Select never assign certain team members. Set routing algorithm to round robin. Set routing algorithm to load balance. Folks, the first action you will need to perform is select never assign team members, as this will ensure that the team leader is excluded from receiving code review assignments, and then you will need to set routing algorithm to load balance. The load balance algorithm prioritizes team members with the fewest outstanding assignments and ensures equal distribution over time. Let's understand why others are incorrect. Now, clear never assign certain team members would allow assignments to the team leader. Select if assigning team members don't notify the entire team will control notification settings. And set routing algorithm to round robin assign reviews in a fixed order, ignoring the number of outstanding assignments. So folks, that's all for this part of the series. I'll see you soon in the next part of our Microsoft Certified DevOps Engineer Expert Ultimate course.